we should not have ICE agents patrolling our streets. They're not needed. They create chaos, and they even create deaths. The mayor of Minneapolis didn't want them. So many other cities didn't. This is sort of Trump strutting around.
Yes. Well, never mind all of the people murdered by illegal aliens in the United States, all the rape murders that the Democrats love to defend, because it's like that scene in Blazing Saddles. They love rape murder. They're Democrats. Well, they have a new martyr, Renee Good. She's the Georgina Floyd of 2026. And the Democrat Party is already out in the streets of Minneapolis this morning and are threatening and menacing. And liberal white women continue to be the scourge of Western civilization. You know, liberal white women in the United States of America. And they have a new hero, Renee Good. She's their hero because she's dead. And she's dead because she was racing her car at a federal law enforcement officer who had his pistol drawn and pointed at her. And she said, I think I'll just punch it and see if I can run him over and crush him and kill him, and then I'll get away. She was out there all day long harassing ICE, using her car to block the road. And when ICE agents showed up, got out of their vehicle with flashing blue lights on the dashboard, right in front of her face, they went over to her with police written on their chests and pistols drawn in at least one case. Went up to her window, said, get out of the car, get out of the car, get out of the beeping car, because she wasn't responding. And she said, oh, then backed up a second and then in drive and punched it and tried to run over a federal law enforcement officer and kill him. And by the way, there are a great many attacks. There have been a great many attacks by leftists, by Democrats, by liberals on federal law enforcement agents for quite some time now. And the numbers are skyrocketing all over the place. I mean, and I've got the numbers for you coming up, and I've got a lot of audio I want to get to. But I just want to offer it up to you because the Democrats are coming back, the insurrectionist, violent mob of leftist radicals who are anti-American and anti-police. And just like in the Democrat created American Civil War, they're opposing the federal government and the authority of the federal government. The Supremacy Clause in the United States Constitution, I think it's in Article 6, is all about the federal government. When the federal government in Congress passes a law about immigration and illegal immigration, the states must adhere to those federal laws. If the Supreme Court has already ruled that these federal laws are sound and the Constitution supports these laws, then the states have to follow that. We're a union, a republic, if we can keep it. And the Democrat Party wants to make sure that we can't keep it because they're a violent mob of criminals, aren't they? Yes, they are. Her name is Renee Good. They want to use her middle name, too, like she's Lee Harvey Oswald or something. Isn't that amazing? And the idiot governor in Minnesota, Tim Walz, has he activated the National Guard? The Guard is on standby in Minnesota because he wants them, just like in the Civil War, he wants to call up the National Guard in Minnesota to fight against the federal government, which is civil war. And it's about time somebody said it out loud. Tim Walz activating the National Guard in Minnesota, not to protect the people from Democrats rioting and burning and looting and plundering and firebombing and doing all the things that the Democrats are so fond of doing, but to oppose federal law enforcement who are there in camouflage with firearms, attempting to enforce the laws as passed by Congress, Democrats and Republicans. But the Democrat Party is an insurrectionist party. They are a revolutionary party, a rebellious party. They are a violent party. And when they're calling up their military, their militias, to oppose the federal government, then that is an insurrection. And it's an act of civil war if you call up the Minnesota National Guard to engage in armed conflict with the federal government and federal law enforcement. But, when you're a Democrat, that's okay. Isn't that great? Yes, it is. Just extraordinary. Minneapolis ICE shooting. It's amazing. Protesters gather in Minneapolis and New York City. and New York City, because the same commies are behind all, and it turns out communist China is behind a bunch of this too. Isn't it amazing? But now Renee Good is the new George Floyd of the Democrat Party. She's Georgina Floyd, and the dim-witted Democrat governor there, Tim Walz, activating the National Guard. Why is he activating the National Guard? To fight against the federal government. Renee Nicole Good, 37 years old. She's the mother of either one child or three children, depending on which news report you're talking about there. She directed her SUV at a federal law enforcement agent, punched it, tried to run him over, got shot in the face for efforts. And it's time that white liberal parents across America sat down their white liberal daughters and had the talk that black parents have been having with their black sons for decades now. Hey, when the police pull you over, don't try to run them over, because you'll get shot in the face and killed, and then your son or your three children will be orphaned because, well, they'll be left with their lesbian stepmother or whatever that is, because that's what's going on there too. Amazing. Yes, sir. And Newsweek magazine just lies about everything. They're appalling. The vehicle, which was one of several parked in the middle of the road as ICE attempted to try to move through. Wait, they attempted to try to move through? This is your writing at Newsweek magazine? Isn't that redundant and repetitive and unnecessarily duplicative? Honestly, ICE attempted to try to move through. The vehicles then begin to move forward. Another ICE officer standing in front. They left a whole lot out here. Only the key part, though, at Newsweek magazine. Another ICE officer standing in front of the vehicle draws his weapon and fires at least 2 shots. And it's actually unclear whether it's 2 shots or 3 shots. At close range, jumping back as the SUV advances. And you know what? I got to tell. Let's start. I want to play those two again. The bouncing off of, what do you do? Bounce himself off, because this is what Newsweek is reporting, right? And then the next paragraph there. And you know, this happened apparently within a couple of blocks of where George Floyd resisted arrest after committing felony counterfeit violations, and then had a cardiac attack because of all the fentanyl in his system and the methamphetamine in his system, because he's a career criminal and a drug addict, and he died. And oh no, police officer Derek Chauvin. And honestly, release Derek Chauvin from jail. Pardon Derek Chauvin today. Release him from jail, and then let Tim Walz call up the National Guard, because then they'll need the National Guard. The Democrat Party is close to civil war in the United States, as they were in the 1860s when they fired on Fort Sumter, and now they're, and they wanted to keep their slaves, and now the Democrats want to keep their illegal aliens. How dare Immigration Customs Enforcement go in there? And Minnesota, one of our 50 states, which is a loony bin. You know, Ronald Reagan won 49 states his second time around running for president. The only one he lost was Minnesota. Richard Nixon won 49 states in his second election. The only one he lost was Minnesota. Minnesota is no longer Minnesota nice. They're Minnesota mental. They're completely crazy. But let's go back, because these are Manderson Pooper first, man. What happened when the Democrat hero of the day, Good, decided to try to run over a federal law enforcement officer, and she actually hit him with her car racing forward?
The officer is in this one, the right side of your screen. Eventually, he backs up a step or two. It appears he comes into contact with the forward-moving vehicle. And fires 3 shots. It
appears that he comes into contact with the forward-moving vehicle. Wow. How did he? That's called hit and run. That's called felony assault with a motor vehicle on a federal law enforcement officer. And then they talk to a guy that they claim is a former Secret Service agent, and I assume he'd have to be former Jonathan Wackrow. Wackrow. It's kind of a funny name. Got to make fun of that. But here's how he describes it when they're looking at the video.
So he puts his non-shooting hand down, and basically he bounces himself off of it.
He bounces himself off of it. It's like it's a fun house for everybody. Hey, I'm going to bounce myself off of this car that's racing at me. That's what I'm going to do. And Manderson Pooper says he comes into contact with the forward-moving vehicle. It's because she's trying to run him over, and she hit him. That's what happened there. But that's not the way it's reported at CNN, the What was it? Certainly not news. Certainly not news. And just amazing. So that if you're getting your news from CNN, you're like, hey, what? He bounced himself off of this vehicle. He came into contact with a forward-moving vehicle. Why is he harassing this woman in her car? That's what you get there. Isn't it amazing? And then they had this loony woman who says she's a witness, Emily Heller. They had her on. And I think we're at number 23 now. Is that correct? Oh, I apologize. We're at number 22. I apologize. And Erin Burnett. Oh, yeah, the fake anchor lady, Erin Burnett, looking all perky and pert and dumb. And she was there on the cable TV. I was actually watching this. I watched about an hour and a half of CNN last night, just for you. And I watched a half an hour of MS-13 DNC. That's all I could stand. Erin Burnett.
President Trump, as you know, posted a video saying that it's lucky the ICE agent was alive. And I just want to be clear, the ICE agent is walking afterwards.
So Erin Burnett has sized up the situation. President Trump said lucky he's alive. Now, again, then it was later. It was actually after this show that Manderson Pooper and this other guy said that he threw himself at the vehicle or whatever. That he comes into contact with the forward-moving vehicle, and then the former Secret Service guy, Wackrow, bounces himself off of it. He bounced himself off of it. Why did you bounce yourself off of that officer should be arrested for bouncing himself off of her vehicle while she was racing at him after she was obstructing federal law enforcement. And she had been there all day long harassing them and blocking them. And then when they approached her, she tried to run one over. She got shot for it. White liberal women, honestly. All right, so Emily Heller is sitting there with Erin Burnett. She said that she was a witness.
He just stood there. The other ICE agents surrounded him. He was obviously spooked, too. I mean, they seem like children. They seem like untrained people. And so that agent was obviously spooked because he had just killed someone, and it was very obvious to everyone who had witnessed it all that she would not make it. And so they kind of gathered around him, and then there was a gold SUV that came, and they put him in it and got him out of there because everyone knew he had murdered someone.
That gold SUV reminds me of the Congressional Gold Medal that they gave Officer Byrd for shooting and killing Ashley Babbitt on January 6th. And the Democrats 48 hours ago were praising, once again, 5 years later, U.S. Capitol Police Officer Michael Byrd for killing Ashley Babbitt without warning. She was not racing an automobile at Officer Byrd inside the hallways of the Capitol when she was shot dead by Officer Byrd, who literally got a medal from the Democrats. Literally got a medal. He was awarded a medal by Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats in Congress for shooting and killing Ashley Babbitt on January 6th after she served 12 or 14 years in the U.S. Air Force honorably. And she was laughing when she was shot and killed by Byrd, and he got a medal for it. Now they want to lynch this guy and hang him and throw his body out for the vultures because that's what the Democrats do. They're not on the side of civilization. Emily Heller. So there she is. She's, what's wrong with the ICE agent? They surrounded her. She was spooked. Well, that's when it's not when you punch it and race at the guy who's got a gun pointed at your face. After you've been obstructing federal law enforcement all day long, you got out of your pajamas and your home, and you left your alleged kid or 3 kids, one or the other, and depending on which news report you're reading, and you leave your kid or kids at home, and then you go to where federal law enforcement agents are enforcing the laws as passed by Congress, even though the sanctuary city, which is anti-American, un-American, and insurrectionist, but never mind that. Emily Heller.
My life is forever changed from having witnessed this, and I just can't let this narrative that it was self-defense go any further because it's absolutely not what it was. And my neighborhood, my neighbors, we're all going to be pretty traumatized from this for a long time.
You know, I want to. You know what we should do tomorrow on the show? We should bring black parents on the show and explain the talk. You know that black parents have to have with their sons. If you get pulled over by the police, don't punch it and try to run them over, or they'll shoot you in the face and kill you. It's the talk. And it's time that white liberal parents had the talk with idiotic white liberal daughters that they're raising all over the place. Emily Heller.
The ambulance couldn't even get through because the ICE agents had all abandoned their vehicles in the road, so the ambulance couldn't get through. So they parked at the end of the block, and about 5 paramedics came in and examined her for. I didn't see this, but
she didn't see it.
They were with her for a few minutes, and then they carried her limp body away by her limbs, not even on a stretcher. Just carried her down to the end of the block where they could get a stretcher because they couldn't get through with their ambulance.
And you know why they couldn't get through? She said, well, it's ICE's fault that they couldn't get through with their ambulance. I'm sorry. Renee Nicole Good was out there with her vehicle blocking ICE. That's where this whole thing started. Who was blocking the road? The woman that left her child or children at home, Renee Nicole Good, also known as Georgina Floyd. The Democrat governor has the National Guard on standby, not in case of riots. He wants them to fight against the federal government. I think that might qualify as civil war by the Democrat governor of Minneapolis. Now, I'm not a constitutional scholar on these matters, but I know about 400 of our listeners are. We're at 888-630-9625. Liberal CNN, I'm going to get to the telephones. I want to go to the telephones very shortly, but not in this short little stop. I want to go back to those CNN dimwits that I watched last night. Laura Coates was one of their fake reporters out on the street in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And she's trying to describe what's happening.
There's a huge crowd of people gathered within blocks of where this woman lost her life at the hands of an ICE agent. And I can tell you, I went through the crowd today, and there is anger, there is frustration, there is extreme sadness. I spoke to a group of 3 sisters whose father had been deported during the first Trump administration in 2018. Illegal. And they expressed that they wanted to be here because they could not believe that they believed somebody was killed just trying to present their voices.
Just trying to present their, I didn't even know she was transgender, their voices, trying to prevent their voice. How many voices did she have? Was she schizophrenic, too? Because that's pretty amazing. And Laura Coates, CNN, it's a big crowd, and it's the poor people trying to run over the cops.
Others in the community who were nearby expressed their frustration and shock at this being just a few blocks away from where George Floyd killed.
From where George Floyd killed. Not where George Floyd was killed, just from where George Floyd killed, because Democrats. I have one more from her. It's my favorite soundbite from her coming right up. And your calls. Because the Democrats, they're insurrectionists. Are they all on drugs? I feel like Mr. Hand.
Others in the community who were nearby expressed their frustration and shock at this being just a few blocks away from where George Floyd killed.
Ah, yes, from where George Floyd. Who did George Floyd kill just a few blocks away? Just a few blocks. Minneapolis, you know. It's not the Mary Tyler Moore show anymore. And what's the Coates, Laura Coates? She just a few blocks away from where George Floyd killed. Who did George Floyd kill? Maybe English is not her first language. Laura Coates, I was watching last night so that no one else had to, and not just so that you, but so nobody else. And Laura Coates, this one made me laugh because, you know, she's theoretically a network news television reporter on a network that's seen all over the world and certainly all over the country. And then she said, well, you know, I've been out here talking to people about what they saw.
The real frustration, the murmur you're hearing everyone talk about is recanting exactly what happened. And there is a consistent drumbeat and a through line here, Aaron, and that is they do not believe that they were entitled to shoot this woman.
And they don't believe they're entitled to shoot. They love the word entitled. But what was at the beginning of that she's talking to people who are recanting? Recanting, I'm sorry, Laura Coates, but maybe we should put together a few dollars and send her a dictionary or something. The word recant, of course, means to withdraw or repudiate formally and publicly, to renounce, to revoke a statement or belief. I think what the word that she was searching for was to recount. to tell someone about something, to give an account of an event or an experience. So she was going for recount. She got recant. Very different words.
The murmur you're hearing everyone talk about is recanting exactly what happened.
Yeah, recanting exactly what happened. That's what they were doing. They were repudiating formally and publicly, renouncing it as what they saw. Is that all right? Let's go back to the telephones, Michael. Talk to the great American people. Yeah, and the governor there, Walz, has either activated or the National Guard or has the National Guard on standby because he wants to start a civil war between the state of Minnesota and the federal government, I guess an armed conflict, because they dared, ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, dared to enforce the laws as passed by Congress, and the Democrat Party is very much against that. All right, let's go to the telephones. Let's go, oh yes, very good. Let's go to Jim, calling from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Jimmy, you are on the Chris Plant Show.
Morning, Chris. How you doing?
Very well, my friend. How about you?
I'm doing good. I don't know. I got so many thoughts. It's just, I used to say that Minneapolis run by these Democrats forever, but at least we're not Detroit. We're not Chicago. We're not, Gary, Indiana, just hellholes. The day after George Floyd, we became Chicago, we became Detroit. And it's really sad. We've still got buildings boarded up. They've destroyed the city. What they're doing, what this leadership is doing, they're telling these local officers to stand down. It's the reason the 3rd precinct burned down. It's just terrible. The first job of local government is to keep the people safe. To keep them safe, they would have kept that angry mob away from these federal agents that were trying to do their job. But they refuse to do that. Instead, they stand in front of a podium and they condemn the federal people that are trying to take criminals and child molesters and murder. They're trying to get rid of them. They want this chaos. It's a great distraction from what is actually happening here, which is billions of dollars in fraud, and they're gonna encourage it more. There's a protest right now going on at ICE staging area where ICE has deployed pepper balls and tear gas this morning, and it's just they're not going to do anything about it. They're going to let it continue and continue. They want it to burn. His wife loved the smell of the burning city. She said it on air.
Yep.
It's despicable.
Yep. Yeah, we've played that audio, and
I'm sad for my city.
Yeah, well, it's perfectly understandable. Did you grow up there, Jim?
I did.
And you grew up in this. Minnesota nice is the phrase. It is it's the land of 10,000 lakes, and now it's the land of 10,000 mentally ill gangs of marauding arsonists and mental cases. Minnesota needs to build a gigantic mental institution because, and look, you're right. They want this chaos. They want petty. And why is the governor calling up the National Guard or has the National Guard on standby now? Who does he think the National Guard is going to combat, Jim?
They want the chaos. He wants to stand up there and throw out the F-bomb and the this and the that and rile these people up. They want that. Why? I don't know. We used to be a gem of a city. It was so nice to be here. I was so proud to say I'm from the Twin Cities, and I'm not proud of that anymore.
Yeah. And growing
terrible.
up there,
it's just terrible. We're not 10,000 lakes anymore. It's 10,000 boarded up buildings. It's 10,000 reasons not to be here. It's terrible. It's the beephole that they want it to be, like Chicago and Detroit. It's what it is. There's graffiti everywhere. They don't do anything about it. It's in decay, and it's terrible to watch. And it doesn't get any better. It's getting worse.
I the Democrat Party in the United States of America is a cancer in 2026, and they were a cancer in 2025, and they honestly, the riots, the looting, George Floyd, St. George Floyd, Derek Chauvin. I talked about Derek Chauvin, and actually I've been corrected on this by a smart person. I said President Trump should pardon Derek Chauvin and let him loose on them, and then the National Guard will be needed. But it turns out it's state charges, and the president cannot pardon him for state charges across country. So President Trump actually cannot pardon him. I think only Tim Walz could pardon Derek Chauvin. He was stabbed 22 times in prison by a Democrat who tried to murder him. And Derek Chauvin. I got. Have you seen this Minneapolis Has Fallen documentary, Jim?
Yes. I've seen it several times. I mean, you find there's something new in there every time you watch it. It's just like, and you could show it to a liberal that hates America, and they would just discount it and say, you know what? I believe what I believe. They don't want to know the truth. They just don't want to know the truth.
That is a fact.
They do not want to know the truth.
It's a cult, and it is. They go around calling everybody Nazis. In fact, they were out there. You probably saw this, Jim. They were out there screaming at law enforcement before the shooting happened that they're all Nazis and that they're fascists. And it was a nice conservative journalist with his camera going through last night, and a lunatic latched onto him and chased him down the street and calling him Nazi and fascist. And nobody's closer to being Nazi and fascist than these people that are out there in the streets attacking law enforcement. And now the governor is calling up the brown shirts of his state. And I guess he thinks that the National Guard of Minnesota will fight against the federal government, which, if I'm not mistaken, might constitute civil war in the United States, Jim.
It would. Yeah, Walz in last May, at a commencement, he stood there, and his entire speech was Nazi, fascist regime, throwing people into unmarked vans. That's what he told these kids at a commencement, and you can go back and look at it. It's horrible. He's stoking it. He wants it. Jacob Fry wants this. Jacob Fry's first statement after George Floyd was, "I do not know George Floyd. I do know this, that if George Floyd was not a black man, the city would not be burning," is what he said. This shooting would not have, this killing, this murder would not have happened had he been a white man. And so within an hour of that, the city is burning.
Right.
Of the mayor saying that. It's like they want this. They love this. It keeps them in power.
Yeah.
Just sad. Just really sad.
It is. You sound like a very normal person, like a normal, I'm a Midwesterner myself, and I love the Midwest, and Minnesota has always been wonderful, and Minneapolis, St. Paul, always been great, and everybody knows it, and it's, from even before Mary Tyler Moore. I mean, they set the Mary Tyler Moore show there because everybody knew it's Minneapolis. It's everybody's so nice, and you can laugh about everything, and it's so great, and it was always true. And then the left is just the poison pill that destroys the world, right?
Yes, yeah, we aren't, but we were Mary Tyler Moore. We were that.
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
Yeah.
And it's totally flipped. Chris, I love your show. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'll keep listening. It's just hard to watch. I drive these streets. I drive for a living, so I'm out here every single day, and I see what's going on, and it's new graffiti every time you go down the freeway.
Yeah.
And they'll paint it, and they'll be back out the next weekend, and it's just horrible.
Nothing says ghetto.
It's sad.
Nothing says ghetto like graffiti everywhere on everything.
That's right. It's not everywhere on everything, but it's not being, it's the last thing that we're going to worry about here.
Yeah.
How do you go stop graffiti when you got buildings burning and riots, and you're not allowed to enforce law? It just doesn't make sense. We are moving towards third world. We are.
Yep. Very rapidly.
Nobody's out here to stop it. Nobody's out here to try to stop it.
Yeah. Anarchy. Yeah, well, and they're importing the third world by the tens of millions. And if you say, hey, wait a minute, we're not giving people time to assimilate like Somalis, right? And, it's Mogadishu. Right. It's not just Minneapolis now, it's Mogadishu. And, the warlord in charge in Somalia was a man named Mohammed Farah Aidid, an Islamic extremist. And I think Mohammed Farah Aidid could become the mayor of Minneapolis at this point.
Of course. Yeah, when we had a huge, 40 years ago, the Hmong population that came here, and they are the best neighbors you could ever wish for. They've completely assimilated. They love this country. I've worked with many of them. I asked one of my Hmong friends one time, "What do you think about America?" And he started, before he said a word, he teared up and he started crying. Not crying, but he teared up and he, in his broken English, said that he loves America. And that's the kind of immigrant we want here.
Yep.
Well, we're not getting that anymore. We're getting America haters. They're brought here to hate America. They're brought here to do exactly that.
By who?
I don't know, Tim Pawlenty.
By the Democrats. The Democrat Party is...
all Democrats.
Yeah, they're just not on our side. And it is the party, writ large.
Mark Dayton.
Yeah. Joe Biden, Barack Obama.
They're brought in by the cargo ship,
Yep. The Democrat Party.
It's just terrible.
It is.
Time, Chris. I appreciate it.
You're a great American, Jim. You're a great caller. I'm really glad that I got a chance to talk to you. Thank you for calling in, Jim. I'm just wonderful. And feel free to call back and update us as you see the situation developing or deteriorating. Either way, I'll keep my eyes peeled for you on the big board.
Okay.
All right,
sounds
buddy.
Good. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, man. Thanks. And all the Democrat Party's behind all of this. All the illegal aliens, the illegal alien rapes, the Democrat Party's behind them. The illegal alien murders, the Democrat Party's behind them. The illegal alien child sex traffickers, the Democrat Party's behind them. The importation of drugs. Well, you got the drug producers in Latin America and in China, and then you got the Democrat Party, which is really, we're right down here at the finish line. This is where the Democrat Party and Joe Biden was the number one, first of all, human trafficker on earth for 4 years, while we had the most dangerous border in the world, according to the United Nations or something like that. And make no mistake, it was Joe Biden and the Democrats that did all of that. Just extraordinary. And what are they doing? They're picking fights with the federal government. The state is picking fights with the federal government. Anybody for the Civil War of 1861? What are we doing here? Are they going to fire on Fort Sumter? Who are they going to fire on next? In Portland, they're burning courthouses, and in fact, Jim just mentioned it. The Democrats burning the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis. How does that happen? And the Democrats are doing this across the country, trying to lock police inside police departments, police stations, and burn the building to the ground. The Democrat Party, for the Somalis in Minnesota are not nearly as dangerous to the United States. They stole $9 billion and sending money to a terrorist group in Somalia. That's nothing compared to what the Democrats are doing across the country. We're at 888-630-9625. Boy, is there a lot more. I haven't even scratched the surface. I haven't even gotten to the audio of the mayor yet.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets.
All right, let us go back to the telephones, Miguel. Let's go to Bill, calling from beautiful Bend, Oregon. William, you are on the Chris Plante Show.
Oh, hi, Chris.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, I need to first correct you on something you said a few minutes ago.
Uh-huh.
Recant is when you bring out a bottle of wine that you already opened a few days ago.
Recanting your wine, as opposed to decanting, right? That's right. You already said this. Yeah. It's a big wine area, Bend, Oregon. There, that's great. That's fun.
Yeah. So anyway,
decanting and recanting, fun.
Yeah, I picked up, on Tim Walz, mobilizing the National Guard, which as you said, going against our U.S. troops, I guess that would be, everyone is saying that would be an illegal act. So I'm looking at cable news, throughout the cable news channels now to see if I will find a TV commercial with Captain Mark Kelly telling all the Minnesota National Guard guys that they don't have to follow the illegal orders that they'll get from Tim Walz. You think we'll see that?
I'm guessing they won't. No, former captain, maybe former commander, Mark Kelly. That's very funny. Yeah, they're saying we should have that's absolutely right. We should pull that up. That video is only a couple of minutes long. We should play that, and former Navy Captain Mark Kelly, U.S. Senator, Democrat Mark Kelly, undermining the rule of law in the military and good order and discipline, and undermining the commander-in-chief. They should come out and make recommendations to the Minnesota National Guard before they're out on the streets with rifles, right, Bill?
Absolutely. So it's just preposterous what's going on and what they're trying to make out of this, and it's a shame that this lady had to die. But as you said, when you're told to get out of the car, you get out of the car.
Yeah. Yeah, there are men in camouflage with helmets, with guns, who are giving you commands. And the reason she's there is because she was there to obstruct their efforts. So she knows that they're federal law enforcement. They had the blue lights flashing on the dashboard of their pickup truck when they pulled up. They've got guns there. She knows that these guys in camouflage are Immigration Customs Enforcement there to enforce the laws as passed by Congress. And I got to say, the Democrat Party is pretty close to firing on Fort Sumter, aren't they, Bill?
Absolutely.
Again, I should say firing, because the Democrats are the ones that fired on Fort Sumter in the first place. And their Confederate States of America president, Jefferson Davis, was a Democrat. And, of course, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. And they shot him in the head and killed him, the first Republican president, because they really like slavery. Now they really like illegal aliens. It's still cheap labor. This time around, they don't have to house them or feed them, though.